Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm here with Stephen Reid Nemeroff of Left of the Slash. They've just put out another stunner of a single called Never Let Go, and at this point, I think we've covered basically all the singles leading up to this album. So it's honestly a pleasure to get to talk to you. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, what part of the world are you at?
We're in LA right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we've been out here for just over 3 years, and like it. It's
Sweet.
good stuff.
I'm also in LA, so we're neighbors.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice.
When this is all, when it's socially acceptable to get a drink or coffee, we'll make
Yes.
that.
Preferably a concert because I feel like that's what has to happen first. But
Yeah, you said
drinks
it,
are on me
man.
before the show. Um,
Yeah, for sure. Let's
so,
do it.
Stephen, I'd love to kick things off here by sort of breaking down all of the singles that have been released so far. First thing is there sort of an
Mhm.
overarching message that you're trying to convey within the lyricism overall?
It's a good question. So this is our fifth single that we're going to be releasing.
Mhm.
And we've been releasing a single every month. So
Right.
leading up to our 10 song LP that will drop, and that's entitled One, and that will fully be released in the winter.
Got it.
And we're basically like the goal is to do release every song as a single, and we think they're all quality for singles, and hopefully everyone else will think that. But yeah, the lyricism, it's interesting question. So I've been writing music since probably 13 years old or so, and a lot of the lyrics from this album are from when I was probably 19 to 25 years old.
Okay.
Um, and then a lot of the lyrics are from recent times also. So I wrote a lot of the music before, and then I had to go back when we were finishing the album and say, okay, well, I have the chorus here, but I don't have the verse. So it's kind of like interesting going back to that part of my life and, kind of meshing it up. So
Yeah.
some of the songs, like Call On, the one before, the whole bridge was written, the lyrics were written back in like 2000. And then I had to come up with the entire, first part of the song,
Wow.
which was really fun to do actually, because I was trying to get back to like a mindset of like what it
Yeah.
was like during writing that song. And it just kind of like came out, and I thought it came out pretty cool.
Well, what finally compelled you to take those lyrics that have been sitting around for so long and finally put music to them?
Well, so the music has been there for forever,
Okay.
for it's really been the lyrics and mashing it. So Left of the Slash initially, when we first started in 2000 and like 2005, I think
Mhm.
is when we started in New York. And we were basically a trio that was an all instrumental band because no one really could sing at that point. And
Okay, got
I was
it.
like a 19-year-old kid, and my voice
Yeah.
is a lot different now. And so a lot of the music that we wrote is on this first album, and there weren't a lot of lyrics for it, or there
Yeah.
were for it, but no one could really sing them. And then also like playing as a trio live, and we were a live band, and we are a live band now too. It's also just hard to do if you're not really equipped to singing. So that's one thing I'm really working on now. Is now that I'm the lead singer of the band, it's been definitely interesting to put it all together. But
Totally.
the riffs I've had in my head for, I don't know, 15, 16 years, maybe more at this point. So hearing it all kind of come to life is pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, long time in the making for sure. And
Yeah.
obviously, you're not the only one in the band here, so I'm going to need you to shout out the members and kind of say who does what. And I kind of wish that they were here, but I'm still happy to be talking to you.
Yeah, for sure. So Left of the Slash right now. We're finalizing exactly who will be playing drums when we play live
Gotcha.
and bass. But we had some like really amazing artists record bass and drums. and I'll just give them a shout out. So Aviv Cohen played on 6 of the 10 songs, and Al played drums on the other 4.
Okay.
And Julia Log, who is insanely talented, sang backup, played bass on all of the songs.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, we were just kind of fortunate that, you know, people were interested in the project, and you're in LA, and it's kind of a, you know, an easy place to find really great musicians, but we really,
Yeah, that's for sure.
yeah. So but we all really meshed well. And I think it really, you know, showed with the, you know, music. Cause I mean, for the most part, we really haven't even been playing together that long at all.
Okay.
Some people are like, well, how long have you and Julia been singing together? And I'm like, you know, never. So, it shows how great of a singer she is versus me, you know. No.
Right.
But yeah, but it's cool. And now what we're just doing is rounding out the band, and because we're just getting geared up to play some shows. And we just did a live performance for the Global Green benefit, where Lisa Loeb and Taylor Dane were a part of it, you know, and some other local LA artists. And it was filmed at the Troubadour. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it there because of COVID restrictions, so we wound up doing at Total Access Recordings, where we recorded 6 of the 10 songs. So shout out to Total Access Recordings. You guys are the best.
I'm actually happy that you were talking about the recording, because I want to talk about the production side and sort of the process of putting this together. So has it been self-produced by you guys? Have you been getting sort of outside help to fully master everything? How has it been looking in the background on your guys' end?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we have just had a really good team that we put together. And, you know, so I've kind of been overall producing the music as far as arranging all the music, and, you know, of when the timing goes and what goes what. So from that point of view, but the mixing engineers and the co-producers on the album, Wynn Davis and Steve Onest of Total Access Recording, and then Jay Randy and Thomas Kaja, Lip Studio, just amazing, talented people that are just I mean, can't say anything bad about them, you know. They're just really...
No, there's a lot of love and passion that's gone into the music that you guys are making. You can
and like, you know, honestly, for me, I've just had these songs in my head for so long, so I just know they should come out. And it kind of was like my first time like taking a stab at like really being like, you know, the overall producer and arranging the songs, and you know, and honestly, it was something that I was really happy with how it came out. And looking forward, we're starting to record the second album in the next couple of months.
Wow, already before the first even comes out. I love that.
Yeah, it's something, you know, the goal, and I don't want to set the bar too high for myself right now, but I want to be able to drop a single a month for the next couple of years.
That's amazing. I'm also really happy that you brought that up, because so obviously you've been making music for a while now. You know how the music industry works as a whole. How do you feel about this sort of single to single release schedule, as opposed to just dropping an album and going silent for a year or two?
It's a great question. So I grew up on like the classics, you know, Floyd, Zeppelin, like that's how, like Neil Young, like that's how like I started like listening to music at 9 years old and playing at 9. And so I was always like, hey, you know, you release an album and people go to the record store and go buy it. And now it's a whole fucking new world where, you know, I mean, you know, even when it's a different world than when we started, and when I was, you know, 19 years old, and when I was, you know, in 2005, I mean, we literally met our drummer off Craigslist. And now it's like,
oh, wow. Okay.
If you want to go on Craigslist, you know, you're going to either buy fake tickets or God knows what is going to happen.
Someone's going to stab you in the face, probably.
I said something worse, but my wife's like, you can't say that. So you can probably read between the lines.
You can say whatever you want on here. I don't care.
This
is there are no rules here.
But yeah, so making music and so we made a decision with Symphonic Distribution, who's distributing the music for Left of the Slash right now. and they're great. Shout out to Jason Jordan and Jorge. Um, you know, it was a decision we made because initially I'm like, okay, we'll drop a whole album, and they're like, look, you're not Drake. People aren't gonna. You
I
need to
know it's
build
true. It's true.
first, and
It's the streaming
yeah,
era and it sucks. Like it really does suck. It's continuing to build the hype and build the fan base and stay in the loop all the while keeping people entertained. And so as much as it
yeah.
might not be something that you want to do as an artist or a musician, it's something that you almost have to do unless you've got 100 albums waiting to go.
Yeah, and like we're kind of having fun with it because it's you're able to just focus on one single a month and promoting that one.
Right.
So it's kind of like nothing I really thought about.
Yeah.
Really good team for social media and management. So I don't know. It's just a good thing that we're doing, and also shout out to Tinderbox Music, who's helped immensely with college radio stations, Spotify pushes, just really everything, helping with music videos that we've done. So we're just kind of trying to have fun with releasing it as singles, and
Totally.
pretty well received so far.
Yeah, man. It's tough because it's like the whole business side of it that a lot of people may not enjoy, but some people like it.
Mhm.
Some people like the promotion and getting creative with it.
I think it's just all about like surrounding yourself with the right people,
Yeah, that too.
at the end of the day. Cause it's like, everybody has an opinion and everyone gives advice, but it's like, are they giving you the advice or, so.
As time will tell, but I wanna go back to the artists that you had mentioned about like releasing full albums and that, and sort of make the connection to the music that you're making, because the music that you're
Yeah.
making is, for one word, is expansive. I feel that it touches on a lot of different genres, and it's not just rock. It's sort of rock at the top, and then there's all these subgenres, and you touch on a little bit of everything, which is what I like the most. So, in that super roundabout way of complimenting the music, I want to know about your
Thank you.
inspirations of who you listen to and who you've kind of taken, who you've listened to over the years, and sort of infused them into the music that you're making today.
So it's an interesting question. And, I thought about, it's one of those things that I listen to so many different types of music that, from like old school hip hop to EDM, but
Mhm.
like the roots of what you're hearing through that is more, rock and roll, and, ranging from Floyd to Sabbath. But then like what really got me is like the 90s era of music,
Mhm.
from Tool, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains,
Totally.
like bands like that, Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, you definitely hear a lot of them. So I feel like that, for us, that was always the era of music that really related to the most.
Mhm.
Um, and ever since then, I think the last band that was really similar to what we were doing is kind of Queens of the Stone Age, that
Okay.
made it
I see that.
commercial level.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the music now isn't great, and I love the music like nowadays, and I just don't think that there's enough music that is rock and roll esque where it's going to translate live the way that
Yeah.
we're trying to do it. So it's a lot more difficult on my end to not go in and have 7 different guitar layers and
Right.
10 different harmonies, and that's cool. And I'm not saying, but it's just I've seen a lot of these bands live, and I'm like, well, you don't have 10 guitarists up there. Like, how are you playing 10 guitar parts?
Right.
And so we're just trying to like listen to a lot of like earlier 90s stuff where
Yeah.
it was just more about like expanding the rock and roll horizon from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s and from there. But then, yeah, I mean, then there's bands like as Interpol, where we definitely have a lot of like influences from, which
Sure.
I think like post-punk like era definitely like resonated well with us too. So I don't know, it's kind of just like forming all that stuff, but then it's like,
Yeah, it's a
listening
lot.
to, like,
And there's not just one band. It's everything that you've ever listened to in your life, and then try not to copy
yeah,
it, but put your own modern take on it. It's like an impossible task. making music in the
Yeah,
modern era when there's already millions of hours of existing stuff is like, how do people come up with anything new nowadays? So it's just
a
tough.
100%. That's a great point. And it's like, so sometimes I'll listen on music and I'll hear like Rage Against the Machine, or sometimes I'll hear like
Yeah,
Eric and Rakim, like the beats in it.
right.
But yeah, but like other people wouldn't notice that, I guess, but maybe they do. I don't know.
So going back to a time when you hadn't yet made music for yourself, was there a specific album in your life that you listened to and you were like, that was such a moving experience, I need to make something for myself?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, um, well, I kind of have like two different phases in my life. So I basically, from the ages of like 13 to like 22, I really just focused on music. And then,
Yeah.
um, you know, then I moved into New York City and couldn't find the time. And it just got to a point where we
Life
moved out here
stuff.
3.5 years ago, and I picked it back up again.
Okay.
But earlier on, I mean, I think Pink Floyd was the first band that really, and if you're going to talk about an album, it was probably Animals. It's my favorite album of all time.
Yeah.
It's my favorite song of all time. And I think at that point, like that's the best band that was ever on the planet. So obviously a lot of people will disagree.
They'd be
With
wrong, but
not, and
yeah.
I think Pink Floyd definitely, and then like in the '90s, I mean, just listening to Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Tool, and like them, I just I still listen to them like almost every day, and I kind of study the music where I'll
Sure.
just like walk around and whatever, and yeah, I just feel like that that type of music is going to be popular again.
Right.
I
Oh, it
just feel
is.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a matter of time, and we're hoping that we could be a part of that.
Of course. I mean, that's the thing with the streaming era. It's never been easier, one, to discover music, but also to make music. So as easy as it is for someone to potentially find you, there's thousands of other people that could pop up on their playlists instead. That's why it's such a weird time for music. And yeah, you just gotta
Yeah,
figure it out. And yeah, it's tough.
it's a good point though. It's because I have like my own like home studio set up
Right.
here, but I would never actually like record anything more than a sketch here. So the
Yeah.
studio we recorded on are like real rock studios. So
Yeah.
you can tell through the music that like they were done with like live guitars and like
Yeah.
versus like a direct input, and it's like that kind of feel that we're trying to like bring back, that it's like has a real rock feel.
Yeah, but also the experience on your end. Because if I was in your position and I had to like, I guess, self-record at home or set up something, and like, I think that it would take the allure out of it. I think there it seems like there's something very fun about getting to the studio and laying down the
Uh,
track and the energy of just not being in your bedroom all day.
it's the like best like existential experience you'll have, because you'll
Yeah,
walk there and then 5 hours later you'll be like, I don't even know what just happened. Like you like black out,
right.
like when you're
Yeah,
like dead
totally.
sober.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah,
unattainable
yeah,
high
no,
unless you're there.
I'm also like not an engineer in any way, and I have so
Yeah,
much for the people that I work with that do
yeah,
that. So I just try to like stick to what I like to do and write
sure,
music, and the engineering side of it is a whole nother animal that
totally.
I'll probably get to.
Right, I would just be like so in there, like, okay, show me what you're doing, like show me how you're making me sound so good right now. Would be that
Yeah, no, I
that really
try, but they're
annoying
like,
guy.
yo, can you leave me alone? Like, so I'll teach you another time. And we never get
All
around
right,
it.
they're like, this is, yeah, you paid for this time, so whatever you want to do.
Right.
That's crazy. So now that you've taken this path as a musician and a band on the path to making it, what is something that you enjoy the most about being a creative as a whole?
So I really like taking, I've always liked this, and I used to just write on notepads on like actual music ledgers, but I would write it out. I always found that the most interesting thing about music is starting with a blank page
Mhm.
and then turning it into a song.
Okay.
with every arranging it and then hearing everything like come to life when it was just an idea in your head. And honestly, for me, like, I feel like some people are able to just write music and some people can't. And for me, like, I never really like want to like learn other people's music. So if you like asked me, came over and you're like, hey, can you play like this Metallica song? And I'd be like, maybe like a riff or two. I could figure it out in most of them, but
Sure.
like I've always just focused on my own music because I thought that was interesting. Also, I can kind of write stuff in my head, so it's weird.
Okay.
Like I've written songs on planes with no instruments at all, and I can hear the entire song.
That's
in my
skill right there.
The next album, thank you. The next song that's coming out on the next album, not the next song. I wrote on a plane in my head, so it's going to be interesting how it all came together. But yeah, it's just really cool having an idea and then like hearing it come to life.
Well,
And
I
then
gotta ask, how did you manage to hear something in your head, and then did you like run to the bathroom and like sing it into your demos notes or like your sound app or something? Or did you just have it stuck
sometimes I
up there?
do. Sometimes in the shower, it just hits me and I'll hear a riff in my head on loop.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a vocal to it, and then I'll get out of the shower, and then I'll just go write it, and like I'll lay it down.
Right. Okay.
It's
Okay.
more than not. And I think in various stages of development, we have like 60 songs for Left of the Slash.
Jeez.
And it's just, it's kind of like I wish there were less so I could work on less.
Yeah, seriously, that's kind of overwhelming at that point.
Yeah, it is sometimes. So sometimes I just gotta like lock myself in there and be like, I'm working on this song and don't anything else. Because I have really bad ADD and ADHD. So, I'll be playing a riff and then in the middle of the song, I'll just like, part of me is just start playing another part of like a different song. I'm like, dude, like focus or you're just not gonna finish anything.
Task at hand. Finish this. That's
well,
cool.
That's going back to the producers and that I work with and engineers. They're just like focused. Just
gotcha.
Yeah.
So what's the possibility of you guys getting out there and at least playing some local shows potentially by the end of this year?
Oh, very strong. We're like
very strong. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're already like we have some things like in the works that we're already like working on. But yeah, I mean, LA is still like, it's still a question mark for everything. I mean, I don't even know if they're outdoor festivals really yet in the summer, not at least.
Not festivals, but like I know that I have concert tickets for October. Crossing my fingers that happens.
Right.
So I hope that can happen for you guys.
Yeah, like when there's like, the Roxy gonna open up and stuff like that. And it's question mark,
Right.
But yeah, we're definitely, right now we're talking to some booking agents, and that's what we're probably gonna like do some stuff outside of LA too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Up north, or I don't know, just kind of like whoever will have us, honestly, at like a decent venue, like makes sense.
I get that. Get out there, get practicing, kind of gel with the live band,
and
just make it happen. Okay, so then hypothetically speaking, let's say, okay, guys, we've got a gig set up for next week, but the venue manager just called me and he said, you guys only get one song to play. Which song that has been released so far are you going to wow the crowd with?
That's a good one. Well, we just did Nothing to Show, which is the first song that we did.
Okay.
Released, I'm sorry, for Global Green. I thought it came out pretty well, but I'm very critical about, hearing live stuff back.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I would either say that or Call On, is probably I would go with, or Feel Me. I mean, I don't know. It's sometimes I need other people to make these decisions for me because I'm kind of too attached to music. And I try to act in a very like unbiased way, but it's tough.
I understand. It's just like all the songs become your babies. You don't want to push one to the side. but you got to be like, well, there's got to be one song that's, a crowd pleaser, or the one that's gonna, make them look up from their phones for a second and really
Yeah,
dig in and
yeah.
pay attention. So
I would say one of those three. And like honestly, like I look at the music that I've written is like it's for everyone, and I don't really look at it as mine. Like, yeah, like did I
right.
write it? Yeah, but like when people are collaborating with me and playing on the album, I don't really give them much direction. Well, A,
Okay.
because they're great musicians, and B,
Yeah.
because I like want them to bring like their style to
Sure.
like the record what we're doing. So I just like I don't know, we're just trying to have fun with it and really, yeah, play some shows, get some more music released, and you know,
Right. Well, but I feel like that's probably the key to being a good band member is not being the micromanager and not overly taking credit for things. And because people will, I mean, they'll know, Stephen wrote this or he laid down this part of it.
right,
But really, especially when you're hiring new musicians to play on your music, obviously everyone has their own style and not being like it needs to be like this or it needs to be like that.
right.
That's probably the longevity of a band instead of just like, well, we were together for 3 months and we called it quits because he was a pain in the ass to work with. So
Yeah, 100%. And also, this is like the second go around of Left of the Slash, so like I
sure.
kind of learned a lot from the last
Yeah.
experience, and I was here and running around New York City and gigs and
Right.
van doing all that. So I don't
Yeah.
know, just looking at it from a different perspective this time around.
Totally. Totally. Okay, so let's see here. We are nearly halfway through 2021, which is wild.
Mhm.
Can't even believe I'm
Yeah,
saying that.
seriously.
But what are some non-musical goals that you've set for yourself? Taking the music aside for a second, how do you plan on working on yourself for the rest of this year?
Um, that's a good question. Definitely wasn't prepared for that one. So I would say I don't know, just like living a more of a stress-free life. I feel like that. I mean, I'm
I
sure a
get it.
lot of people a lot in the last year and a half. I mean, definitely I did too, and you know, want to live like a more relaxing, stress-free life is
Right.
really how I would answer that with my family and my wife Ashley, and yeah, just looking to have a good life.
I feel you, man. There's too much stress on the everyday life, and I feel like people just need to chill out sometimes and not take things so seriously. So, yeah,
Yeah, but
I'm
I
right there
think
with
like
you.
I think a lot of perspective has been forced into people over the last year.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Everyone was just going berserk about something, and I mean, I definitely was also. And
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people have been grounded in a positive way that
Mhm.
they're not invincible, and at any time something could be taken from you. So I think there's a lot of like positive lessons that have been learned from all this.
I agree. I agree. But people still need to chill out a bit and take a step back
Yeah,
and not freak out about
for
every tiny
sure.
little thing. Um,
Oh yeah, totally.
totally. All right, Stephen, I've got one more question for you. And what
Okay.
I want to know is for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that is going to dive into your music for the first time, what is a message that you'd like to pass off to them?
That's a good one. I would say, look, like at the end of the day, I just hope people enjoy the music, and I hope that they like it enough that if they're local and we're playing somewhere, that they'd want to go see us because what we're gonna do live is a lot more interesting than what it's
Sure.
gonna happen on the albums. And I think we're gonna have a lot of fun live, and we want to make it a really memorable experience where you leave there and you're like, you know what, there was a lot of energy up there, and that was fun, and it wasn't just like any other band I saw. So,
Right.
it's a little bit of theatrics or weird hair we're doing or one day or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to do something different that other people aren't doing. So we're going to try and, leave that mark.
Awesome. Got to keep it loose. Got to keep it loose and
Yeah.
fun. Ultimately, if you're not having fun, then what's the point of it all? You know?
If you're not having fun, the audience can tell.
Oh, oh yeah, they can. As the audience, we could tell. We could
Yeah.
tell.
I mean, I've seen so many shows where I could just tell this guy's doing it for a paycheck or he hates his bass player. And you can just read that.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, Stephen, I cannot thank you enough for coming on today. I sincerely appreciate it. And for everyone else out there, Never Let Go will be out by the time that this comes out. If you're finding this through the article, if you're finding this on YouTube, we will have all the links to follow Left of the Slash and listen to all their music, but also keep a close eye for the EP coming later in the year and the month by month singles.
Thank you so much, Austin. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, I sincerely hope you have a great rest of your day. And I
You
also
too.
really look forward to listening to the music as it gets released.
I appreciate it, brother.
Awesome, man. Have a great rest of your day and we'll talk soon.
You too. Thanks,
Awesome.
man.
See ya.